build our car for combat.
How am I supposed to make that safe?
Who said anything about safe?
This week on Talking About the Movies, the same team that gave us Top Gun Maverick brings us Top Gun on Wheels. No, it's not a Days of Thunder remake or a sequel, technically, but it's Brad Pitt starring in F1, the movie. Plus,
look, she wants to help us. Everyone deserves a second chance.
You would like us to rebuild a deranged robot in order to catch another one.
Would you prefer I gave you a printout that you can read at your own pace?
because clearly nothing will go wrong the second time around. Who are we kidding? This time around, nothing goes like the first movie does, because instead of the horror movie aspect, M3GAN 2.0 decides to go for more of a Terminator 2 type of a storyline. By God, it tried. We're going to take a look at that as well as F1 on this double feature to wrap up the month of June and the halfway point of the year here on Talking About the Movies. And welcome to Talking About the Movies as we continue my 20th anniversary celebration, me covering the biggest new releases of the weekend. We reached the halfway point of the year. We already did a couple videos talking about my best and worst movies of the year so far. If you want to go check those out, they are on the channel. I'll leave them a link in the corner and also a link down below so you can go check those out. But for me, this is the start of the second half, because these two films we're going to cover here do not come from that particular list I did. But we got two movies here. June overall was kind of a lackluster month. Anybody else agree with me? It was mostly a month where a lot of the movies really didn't work for me. Like, the ones that I really liked were... The only one I really liked was Elio. Ballerina I just thought was... It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either. And everything else, How to Train Your Dragon, and 28 Years Later were such massive failures. But can we end the month on a high note? We got two eagerly anticipated movies, Brad Pitt starring in F1, and we have the sequel to M3GAN, M3GAN 2.0. Will these movies be able to finish the month of June off on a high note? Let's just say prepare to be disappointed, and prepare for some controversial opinions, especially with our first movie here. So let's get to that first movie, and that is F1, the movie. Because apparently we got to call it F1 the movie, because who else is, because this is the official F1 movie, the official Formula 1 film. Nobody else can do this anymore, and after what I saw, that's probably a good thing. But so in F1, Brad Pitt stars as a race car driver who returns to Formula 1 after a 30-year absence to save his old teammates' underdog squad from collapse. And the cast also includes Damson Idris from Snowfall, making his first his first major feature film debut overall. Kerry Condon from the Banshees of Inisherin, and also Javier Bardem, who plays kind of the slimy villain of the movie per se, but not really. But the big selling point of this is that the fact that this is coming from the same screenwriter and the director of Top Gun Maverick. Now, Top Gun Maverick was good. I think time has passed now where I can honestly say that of the two movies that came out on that particular weekend, the Bob's Burgers movie was by far the much better movie. Top Gun Maverick was good. I'm not going to say it's a bad movie by any means, but everyone that said it was this great movie overall, I can't really go that far with it. It was cool to see on the big screen the first time around, but watching it at home on a regular television, it just didn't really hold up for me. Although there's still a lot of stuff I like about it. And of course you have the scene with Val Kilmer in there, reuniting with Tom Cruise. But that's a great scene overall. But like I said, the movie isn't bad. I'm not saying I hate Top Gun Maverick. Excuse me. That's my... Sorry about that. That's like my body's trying to stop me from saying bad things about Top Gun Maverick. I'm not saying bad things about it. I just think that the Bob's Burgers movie was the much better movie that came out on that weekend 3 years ago. And yet, it's not... I put Top Gun Maverick in the same category as Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning and The Final Reckoning. They're fun to watch on the big screen. Nowhere near as good as watching them at home, honestly. But yeah, that was my... But going into this, after all the time had passed, and I was watching the movie, hoping for the best, and really, I came out of there mostly disappointed by it, because, yeah, the visuals overall are absolutely incredible. Seeing these racing scenes are pretty awesome to see, but visuals don't make the movie. I'm sorry that people don't want to hear that, especially with a movie like this, because it seems like people want this more to succeed because it's an original franchise, it's an original picture in general, and like You know, where was that with Elio last week? You guys didn't go see that movie, but you'll more than be happy to get on this movie because, oh, it's an original live-action movie, and, you know, we hate animation and all that. It's just like, I don't know if that's what people are thinking about here, but yeah, my overall thought on this was that I really did not like this movie. I was really let down by it, and I know that's going to be a controversial opinion because this is such a highly praised movie online, and I've not heard one bad review from most people, but I really didn't enjoy this movie. I was really bored by it, honestly. It's supposed to be, they market it as Top Gun on wheels. We already had that. It's called Days of Thunder, and even that wasn't all that great. And they keep talking about doing an F1 Days of Thunder crossover, just like, so you're going to cross them over with the same goddamn movie. It's literally the same movie, except instead of NASCAR racing, it's Formula 1. And I'm sorry, it's just not an enjoyable movie. I really was bored by this entire film. There was nothing about this film that I felt like, man, this actually has some work to it, except for the visuals and the fact that I saw it on a big screen. I saw this in Cinemark XD, the biggest screen I have around here that's near me. And yeah, it works on that level, but other than that, though, I'm not going to remember this movie anytime soon. It's a movie that I think they spent more time focusing on the visuals. They spent more time focusing on the racing scenes and having them look cool. Because you got the same guys who made one of the biggest hits of the decade, Top Gun Maverick. And arguably the biggest hit of the decade, which actually, it's up there. Spider-Man, I think Spider-Man No Way Home did better than Top Gun Maverick did. But they both still did very well, but I don't know. I really came out of this movie feeling let down. I felt like this was a film that should have been so much more. There should have been something to it that made me say, okay, I can see where everybody's coming from with this, but I'm just not much of a racing person. I don't really watch NASCAR all that much. NASCAR itself has been kind of like ruined in general by the fact that, you know, they keep changing the rules around here. I know nothing about Formula 1 racing, and this movie does not do a very good job of making people who have never seen Formula 1 before convinced that they should go check this out. I did not want to see Formula 1 after this. Plus, I kept getting flashbacks to bad racing movies that we've had, like Driven, the big example, where, you know, Sylvester Stallone tried to make an F1 movie like this, but he couldn't do it. Instead, he had to make it based off of a racing league that was defunct before the movie even was 5 years old, which was kart racing. And it's not nowhere near as bad as this, but I don't know, man. I just really felt underwhelmed by this entire movie. I didn't feel like there was a need for this movie to exist. I really didn't feel like there was a need for this film to get made, except for the fact that, hey, we got all these cool-looking visuals, and again, that's nice and all, but do you have a story? I want to see, there's people in here I want to see succeed. Damson Idris is from Snowfall, and I think that he's somebody who's on his way to becoming a rising star here, and I just thought he was just kind of meh in general here. And honestly, if they ever decide to make the Kobe Bryant biopic, which I don't know why they would ever do that, but if they ever do that, I could see this guy easily playing him easily. But, you know, Javier Bardem, like I said, he's kind of like the antagonist of the movie. He's just kind of a slimy villain, over the top villain. But there have been so many other better movies where the slimy over the top villain works a lot better. But I don't know. Like, me personally, I just didn't really like it in general. I really tried to find something of value here, something to make me think that, okay, there's clearly something here that I'm missing, that I'm not just seeing here right from the get-go, and I just didn't find it with this film. I know this movie has a fan base behind it already, and I know they're going to hate me for saying this, but this is one of the biggest disappointments I've seen all year. This is a movie that, from a visual standpoint, looks great, but from a story standpoint, from an acting standpoint, the acting overall in here is just mediocre. The best person in here was Damson Idris. Brad Pitt just kind of coasted along here. He doesn't have that charisma like Tom Cruise does, where he can coast along and still give you a great movie in the process. But everybody else in here really was underwhelming in this. Everything about the movie in general was just underwhelming, and I just didn't like it. I just didn't think that it was that great of a film in general. So yeah, for me, I just didn't like it. The visuals look great and all, but like I always say, visuals don't make the fucking movie. You need to give me something good in terms of the story and the character development, and it just wasn't there. So it pains me to say this, but thumbs down on F1. I'm sorry to you folks out there, and hopefully you guys out there will have an understanding of where I'm coming from here. And what's that ominous glow in the distance? Oh yeah, that's right. This is the internet, where you can't be open-minded. You have to be for one side or the other, or else what's about to happen here is going to happen. So, let me go ahead and take care of this real quickly, and we'll come back with my review of M3GAN 2.0, which will hopefully not lead to what this is going on, what's going on. So stick around, I'll be right back. In fact, why did I even do that? I was sitting down here, but took care of the angry mob, but thanks to this little beauty right here that cost me $2 at a world of values, but let me get rid of this thing as I throw it on the floor there. But anyway, we're back, finally, so let's go ahead and move on to the second of the big new releases this weekend, and hopefully one that will not be anywhere near as controversial as what I thought about F1. That is, of course, M3GAN 2.0. And in M3GAN 2.0, the sequel to M3GAN, you have the plot revolving around M3GAN being rebuilt to combat a humanoid military robot built using M3GAN's technology that is attempting an AI takeover. And it's made by the same people who made the first movie, and they've basically taken the turn of taking the horror aspect out of the original M3GAN and making it a sci-fi action film, and basically trying to pull the Terminator 2 of the M3GAN series, which, needless to say, it doesn't really succeed on that front. But talk about the first movie in general. I've never really done a full review on it per se, but the first M3GAN is a ton of fun. It's a movie that is so silly, so over-the-top ridiculous. It's a horror movie, but not to the levels and the extent that you would think it would be. It's a movie that is primed for, like, meme potential. I mean, you see the scene where M3GAN is dancing before she kills people, which it's hilarious on its own merits and all that, but the movie itself is just so ridiculous and so over the top. It just worked. It was a film that was really trying to, like I said, this one's trying to be more like the Terminator 2 of the franchise, where the first one was kind of not really a horror movie, but a sci-fi action thriller, and this one's trying to be the same thing as Terminator 2, but it's more like Gremlins 2. And Gremlins 2 was a fun movie, but it's definitely not the first movie, and this one is definitely not the first movie. I don't even want to say it's great either, because it really is not. It's a movie that you go into, you expect so much more from it, but I don't even think they had any idea what the hell they were trying to do here. They just saw that the first film was a success, and then they realized, oh shit, we gotta put a sequel together, so, Terminator 2, let's bring that in there. Oh, we need more? Let's bring in some Mission Impossible. Let's bring in some Austin Powers. And let's bring in the slightest bit of Child's Play, because, yeah, we're not even gonna try to compare M3GAN to Chucky, which, why not? Because that's probably a smart thing to do at that point, considering how well Chucky's hold up over the last couple of years with the TV show and all that. But yeah, the movie itself overall is not that great. It's a really lackluster film, and just, again, it really just fell apart at the worst possible time to do it, because there's nothing about this movie that works whatsoever. The jokes aren't really all that clever. The humor that was in the trailers and all that, it's barely in this movie. And even the stuff that was in the trailer that I liked, it doesn't work in the movie overall. Plus, Gremlins 2 at least had fun with what they were trying to do. It didn't work, but a movie that has the Looney Tunes, Hulk Hogan, Leonard Maltin, and the bad guy from the asshole guy from Scrooge, not who went on to work on Smallville, John Shea, I think it was. No, John Shea was the guy who was in Missing. Who's the guy that was in John Glover? I think it was John Glover. I know I should be pausing this, but I just gotta see. Yeah, John Glover. Yeah, John Glover was the guy I was talking about. But yeah, you had that in there. You had a movie that was making fun of itself with the stuff that, I mean, the scene where Phoebe Cates does the Santa Claus in the chimney scene, but it's played for laughs. Gremlins 2 is not a great movie, but it's more of a fun movie than this is. This is a film that I just felt like they really ran out of ideas of what the direction was supposed to go with this, and it really just didn't work. It's a film that really was one of those. I think I was more let down by this than is. Now F1 I think was a little bit more let down because there was so much of that movie that I was looking forward to with the director, Brad Pitt, you know, the writing overall, the same guys who make Top Gun Maverick. This one I thought was going to be much better too, but at the same time it just didn't do that. I think their big mistake overall was making this a summer blockbuster. This should not be a summer blockbuster. This should be a film that should have opened up in January, because it would have made more money then. But the fact that they put this out in the summertime, when you put this out in the summertime, you're expecting us to believe this is going to be a bigger hit than you were expecting. I really think they had no idea what the hell they were doing with this movie in general. This movie is just so all over the place. It's not fun. It's really lame. And it goes on way too long, too. This is a 2-hour movie, and it's just like, there's no reason for this to be 2 hours long. The first movie was just barely over 90 minutes, and that worked for what it was trying to do. This, they were just pushing their luck on this one, and they already thought they had the franchise sewed up because we've got a spin-off movie coming up next January called Soulmate, which is supposedly an erotic thriller in the same vein as the M3GAN series, and if it's anything like this movie, that one's not going to end up being great either, just saying. But it's already being made, so it's coming. Whether or not we're asking for it or not, but this film, yeah, this isn't worth it. M3GAN 2.0, definitely nowhere near as good as the first film, and not really enough there to say it's worth it for just the ridiculousness of it, but not this time around. Sorry, M3GAN. You get a thumbs down from me. Come up with some better stuff this time around. Give us a better movie than whatever the hell you were trying to do with this film. I mean, good lord, this was a mess. And, perfect sum up of June as a whole. A lot of disappointment all across the board, with the best movies of the month being Elio and Ballerina, with Elio being easily the best film in general. Everything else was just pretty much straight up garbage overall, so. But hey, July's coming up, and a much better slate of movies is on the horizon. I mean, next week we've got Jurassic World Rebirth, and then the following week it's all about Superman. We have a Smurfs movie that will hopefully fix the problems of the last 3 Smurf movies, but we'll see what happens there. And, of course, Fantastic Four. I mean, we've got 4 weeks of movies that should be good. But we will see what happens when we start the month of July up on the next episode. So, thank you so much for watching this. Please don't kill me for what I had to say about F1 or M3GAN 2.0. Just my personal opinions on those. But if you want to see my thoughts on some other movies that I did, last week when I took a look at 28 Years Later in Elio, check out the video in the corner. Check out the playlist. We're a couple weeks away from my 100th Talking About the Movies video episode. And it should be around the same time we have the 100th Reviewing Network live episode, if I'm not mistaken. But I'll check again. But we're close. And it should be within the next month anyway. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification button. And we will leave you with a look at movies now in theaters and coming out on Blu-ray. So with all that said, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.